Alright, so this has been a pretty tough year in the garden. Here's a quick update of all the stuff that I lost really during this heat wave here in zone 8A. You can probably already see some damage. It's been extensive drought and excessive heat for a long time. It's starting to get better now that the fall started, but so if you see here, the first casualty, Snow Mountain Pieris. It was in the shade most of the day, but I don't know exactly how many days above 100 we were, but at night it'd get down to 95, and during the day it's just brutal. So this Snow Mountain Pierre is basically done for. I tried watering it, but really nothing worked. The Japanese maple survived, but it did get, pretty beat up. It's gonna be okay though. It's in shade most of the day also, not all day, but most of it. And this crepe myrtle helps it out. And it's just a little bit more resistant than that Snow Mountain Pieris. So now that the temperatures have gotten a little bit better, these elephant ear or Alocasia odora look a lot better. They started growing quite a bit more. These are the same exact tuber that I bought. Is that one right there that's in the container. That one was about 6 inches, so it's still pretty big, but and then the one I planted in the ground is almost it was almost 12 inches tall. But obviously in this you can tell this has fertilizer, and it was able to grow a little bit more, but it looked pretty bad. Midsummer, also in the shade, and I watered every day. Here's a limelight hydrangea. This is the one I had last year, straight in the sun, and it completely died. I thought it did, but luckily I cut it. I know a lot of people, I was pretty disappointed, but I had to do what I had to do to keep it alive. I cut it and I moved it to a place where it has more shade, and obviously it didn't do that good, but next year I expect it to be better. That whenever the roots, they had all this year for the roots to grow, so next year should be way better. I lost this dwarf Alberta spruce. Not a surprise. It was a complete shade. It's just too hot for it here in zone 8A in Texas. There's another hydrangea paniculata limelight. It did pretty good, but it dried up. Obviously you could tell. It takes it pretty rough every year. Next year should be better. The one I showed you right now is I cut it. This one may have to be cut too, but I'm just letting it grow. I'm seeing little side shoots, and it's still alive. Next year should be better, but I may have to end up cutting it also. We'll see. This one did real good. This is a gardenia, and it also suffered a little bit. It got quite a bit of yellow leaves during the hottest part of the summer, but now it's starting to flush out, and it looks great. I'm gonna say it's one of the ones that survived. Here's a Rose of Sharon. It did good. This is a drought tolerant plant, so it did struggle. It lost a lot of leaves, but it's looking pretty good now, and you could see that it's starting to grow some new leaves, which is not that good because here in about a month they'll probably be knocked down by the cold. But Rose of Sharon, it does good in the heat. It does struggle, but I can't complain. Here's a dwarf variety butterfly bush in Buddleia. I think it's called Lo and Behold, and it struggled a lot. First of all, butterfly bush are pretty late to wake up in the spring, and then when it woke up it was already super hot, and I had to trim all the dead stuff. It grew quite a bit, and then it just, and by the end of June it was looking pretty bad, and then I thought I almost lost it, but once I trimmed it, and now that the temperature is getting cooler, it's starting to leaf out again. But once again, here by mid-November it'll lose all its leaves, and it'll go back to dormancy. But it survived. I didn't think it was gonna do it. to be honest. There it goes. Looks pretty small. This lower petalum did survived. It struggled, but not as bad as the other one, as a butterfly bush. But I'm quite surprised it lost all its purple color, but it's doing okay. I can't complain compared to what other plants did. The dwarf mugo pine, I mean, it bit the dust. It's completely gone. I tried. I watered it. It gets probably in the worst part of summer, probably gets, you know, 8 or plus hours of sun, and obviously it just couldn't take it. That one bit the dust. This Indian hawthorn also, I mean, it just didn't make it. This plant has suffered quite a bit, and I think it's about time for it to go. Whenever we got that really hard freeze about 3 years ago, it lost everything. Basically completely dead. I put it in a container, revived it basically, but I think it's met its match. But Indian hawthorn, I wouldn't say it's drought resistant in the sense of zone 8A. It's pretty extreme though. Maybe if it was under shade, I think it'd be okay, but it got direct sun. Blue point juniper is doing good, which I knew those are really hard to hear in zone 8A. There's also a juniper, a young stem juniper. It's a spreading type. That one's doing real good. In the winter, it gets a real nice burgundy color. This is the greatest loss this year. This is a blue atlas cedar, Hortsman. It was about 5 foot tall. It was the best tree in my yard. I considered it. It's pretty drought tolerant, but this year really did a number on it. Everything above this point was completely dead. And in an effort to save it, what I did is, I said, you know what, I'm gonna cut it. It's probably the wrong thing to do, but this is my thing. Because in my mind, it was dead already. So this was like an emergency, try to rescue it effort. So what I did is I cut it, and I'm actually gonna remove it from this area because it gets full sun, direct sun for about 8 to 10 hours. So my goal is to remove it from this area, put it in a container, put it in some shade, part shade area, and I'm gonna use it as a specimen plant. I could still limb it up, and tie it and make it grow up a little bit taller, we'll see. But more than anything, if it survives, it's gonna be a specimen plant. It still looks really good. Obviously other than it got cut, but I think it has a lot of potential. But that's the biggest loss. Here in about a week or so, I'll remove it from here and find something else. Yeah, so this year, in this area, I'm gonna try to buy plants that really, are made for these tough environments. The hard part is you got to make them do well in the heat of summer in this area in zone 8A, but also in the cold of winter. And that's the hard part about gardening here in zone 8A. But we'll see. Till next time.